Hello and welcome. So my name is Mark Hellaby. This is just a second video I've done just looking at drug calculations, and this one focuses on how we calculate infusion rates for inotropes, and this can be something that really worries people, but what we're going to do is just going to break it down into exactly the same process as we discussed in the first drug calculation video, which is what have I got in my ampule or my syringe. What does the patient need? So what's the dose of the drug they're being given? And finally, what will I give? And in this situation, we're thinking obviously that this is going to be an infusion. One of the things that makes it so complicated when you're calculating infusion rates is that all our units are different. And if you remember from yesterday, we need to have the same units to calculate. So if you think about your drug in your pre-filled syringe or your syringe you're using, that will be in milligrams in mils. Then the patient's dose is normally expressed in the form of micrograms per kilogram per minute. And then finally, to add another variation, our syringe drivers often work in mils per hour. So the first thing we're going to have to do is to start to get these aligned so we've got some base unit. So we're presuming we've got a 70 kilogram patient here. We've got a syringe full of an inotrope, which is 8 milligrams in 50 mils. And our patient has been prescribed 0.16 micrograms per kilogram per minute. And the question is, at what rate do we set the pump? So the first thing we need to do, as everything else is in micrograms, and I know the answer is going to be relatively small, I'm going to change this 8 milligrams in 50 mils down initially to micrograms. So factor of 1,000, so 8 milligrams is actually equal to 8,000 micrograms in 50 mils. So in my syringe, in my 50 ml syringe, when it's full, I've got 8,000 micrograms. Now again, as we did on our first one, we now need to work out how many micrograms we therefore have per mil. So if we take 8,000, divide that by 50, that will tell us we've got 160 micrograms per mil. And I really think it helps to write down firstly everything in a box when you get to one of your final answers, but also to make sure you really do include those units, because it's just again another safety check just to make sure you haven't missed a step somewhere and aren't working in different units. So we now know our 50 ml syringe has 160 micrograms per mil. Okay, so now let's go to the column where we're looking at what the patient needs. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take my 0.16, which is what the patient needs, and I'm going to multiply that by 70 because our patient weighs 70 kilograms, and that will come out as 11.2 micrograms per minute. So our 70 kilograms patient needs 11.2 micrograms per minute of this inotrope. No, it's not quite finished because that is per minute, and again our syringe drive works on hours, so I'm going to change this now into hours. So I'm now going to take my 11.2 and I'm going to multiply that by 60, and that's going to come out as 672. Same again, I'm going to put it in a box down the bottom because that's one of my final answers. So the answer is 672 micrograms per hour. So this 70 kilogram patient, that's the dose of this inotrope they need each hour if they're going to receive 0.16 micrograms per kilogram per minute. Okay, final step. Again, exactly the same as we did yesterday. We're now going to take what the patient needs, which is our 672. We're going to divide that by what we've got, which is 160, and that is going to give us our infusion rate. So once we calculate that out, we come to 4.2 mils an hour. So that is the rate you're going to set your infusion pump at. just a couple of things about safety. All the way through, I really do think writing down the units will help you. Second checking is paramount. I made one of these videos yesterday and actually managed to put, while I was busy talking it through, I actually put the wrong number in. The answer was correct, but I just literally just put the number, and it's very easy to make mistakes like that. I think I mentioned in the first video about calculators. Calculators are good. You know, if you're doing complicated maths, and these aren't the worst inotropes. There's at least one of the inotropes that sometimes we have to start working things in nanograms, so incredibly small numbers and units that you're probably not used to using. So use a calculator. I think it's always helpful to get somebody else to check. I remember once in theatres we had a really difficult inotrope we were working with, and none of us had ever worked with it before, and basically 3 of us went off to different areas of the theatre, different corners. We all did the drug calculation and we came back and went through it together, and the fact we'd all come back with the same number, well, that was quite reassuring. So yeah, have a go, practice them. They aren't as bad as they look. It's just that, you know, it's strange and you have to get the units there. But if you follow this basic process, which is the same basic process we were using in the first video, of just thinking about splitting into that component parts of what have I got, what does the patient need, and therefore how much am I going to give, that should help you. Anyway, thank you for listening, and look after yourself.